You're listening to Real Talk Texas with local expert Steve Hakes. Now, here's Steve.
Welcome back to Real Talk Texas. Today in the studio, if you just tuned in, we've got the pleasure of having Alicia Trevino of Century 21 in Uptown and also in Mesquite. And she serves the North Texas market, and she is our real estate expert that's talking today about foreclosed properties and the opportunities to buy them, what's happening in the marketplace, and what we call our distressed inventory. It's not the inventory that is just a normal listing, but it's something where it's already gone through a foreclosure, and now it's bank-owned REO or it's HUD-owned, and we defined that a little bit on the last segment, and where we talked about that a HUD property is truly an FHA property that is being listed by an approved HUD real estate agent, and I'm sure there's some certifications, Alicia, that you have to go through for that. How do you get to be a HUD agent?
You have to be really good. Actually, experience had a lot to do with it. We had to apply with the government. They made sure that we were absolutely qualified to do this, and we took a lot of classes. There's only a select few HUD brokers. Now, any broker who has a NAID number can sell a HUD home, but there's only a select few brokers that can actually list them. And so our company is lucky enough to be one of those selected brokers that can sell these HUD homes. And so we do specialize in this because it does take an expert to understand the processes. You can go to HUDhomestore.com and you can read about it so the general public can go in there. But you do need a licensed realtor to make a bid on a HUD home. Okay, great. One of the things I wanted to talk about was the process of buying one, and it sounds like you get some early insight on the homes that are coming on the market, which is great. So if you're listening out there and you're looking to buy a HUD house, and I would highly recommend you contact the show, realtalktexas.com. Send me a quick note, and I'll put you in touch with Alicia and her team. But one of the things I wanted to ask about, Alicia, is whether I'm going to buy it for myself to live in, or if maybe I'm looking to buy it as an investment property. Is there a difference? What advice do you give to your buyers that reach out to you? Well, specifically for HUD homes, and I want to make sure that everybody understands, this is not the guidelines for every foreclosure. So we're talking strictly HUD at this point. And for HUD homes, there's all types of different guidelines. So in general, if it's an insurable property, insurable meaning that it's probably in fairly good condition. So it's really important to understand that. Investors cannot bid on that property for 30 days. If it's uninsurable, that's the key word saying this is going to need some work. And they can bid on those after 10 days on the market. But HUD is out there to get homeowners in their properties. So the advantage to people who are wanting to buy a HUD home to live in is at the people that are buying it for themselves. So you get first choice, you get 10 days on insurable properties to make a bid. They open bidding and you have to submit a bid with a qualified NAID agent who has a NAID number, and that's kind of just, hey, can you sell HUD homes is all you have to ask. Okay. That's really the key here. And then
because are there specific forms rather than just filling out a contract? That's why you need to go through a HUD agent? Yeah, actually it's internet-based. So the only way you can make a bid on a HUD home is internet-based through a qualified real estate agent. On a normal home, I would send in my contract and there'd be negotiations back and forth between the seller and myself. Does that happen with HUD? That does not happen with HUD. You submit a bid, okay, and it's multiple bid situation. And I would venture to say 95% we have multiple offers, highest and best. I think there's a misconception that you can bid 50% low. You cannot bid 50% low. I am here to tell you that that does not happen within the first 10 days. And most HUD homes sell within the first 10 days. On the HUD opening bid date, which is 10 days after it's listed, they will open the bids. If they have an acceptable offer, they will accept it. If they do not have an acceptable offer, they will not. What is the pricing strategy, or how does the agent come up with a price for the listing price? Is it going to be above market, at market, below market? What can I expect as a buyer? Am I looking at something that's truly market value? What's the list price really reflect? When you're appraising a HUD home, you appraise it to other HUD homes, okay, other distressed properties. So therefore, they're going to be priced below the average home on the market. So it's not what we call retail pricing, which is everything else that's not distressed. Okay. So I do a BPO. I send my team out to do a BPO.
And then we have an appraisal done.
And BPO is a broker's price opinion, right?
Yes, it's a broker's price opinion. So we give our opinion, and then we have a second opinion by an appraiser. It's an FHA-approved appraiser, so these are FHA-approved already. You don't need to get any appraisal on these properties. They're already appraised at current value, and they're below market. They're below retail market. And so you're going to get a good deal anyway. HUD is there to get rid of their inventory, and they're doing a really good job because you don't see a whole lot of signs anymore. Our inventory is definitely down. I just got back from a forecasting, and we are definitely on the recovery. So if you're wanting to buy a foreclosure, you need to do it within the next 12 months. The goal is to be done with this and move on.
That sounds great. And it's great for the whole home market, I think, to get lower price homes off the market so our non-distressed inventory can really see the true values going up. One of the things that we do as a lender is if we see that there's an appraisal done on a normal home, the appraiser will actually point out that this comp or this comparable was a foreclosure. So a lot of times our underwriters will look at that and we'll pull that out of the equation because we know that that home sold below market.
Of course, you compare apples to apples, oranges to oranges. And you know, if it's a distressed property, it's been a house that's been vacant, not taken care of, it doesn't have the same value as a property that's been well cared for by a loving family. So you can't compare the two, even if they're in the same neighborhood. I think that's a misconception out there for the consumer. Please be aware that those houses are priced to sell.
Okay, so let's talk about the buying process a little bit. So we go online and we place a bid with our real estate agent, and they do it online for us, or do I go online and make that bid?
You go to an agent. You can go to HUDhomestore.com and you can look up properties, but you do have to go to an actual realtor to make your bid. You cannot make a bid on your own.
Okay. So once I've made the bid and it comes back and I say, hey, I won the bid, you know, it's kind of like probably a silent auction or a sealed auction maybe on the house. But
it is a sealed auction. You do have to wait to see if you did get the bid. So many people are discouraged because they keep bidding low and they don't get it. And so buyers, please bid the offer if you want this house.
So if the asking price is $150,000 and I make a bid at $150,000, what's my odds of getting that house?
If it's a good house, probably slim. You're going to have to go above that. So you have to be really careful because if you do go above that, that money has to come out of your own pocket. People don't understand that. You know, the general public doesn't understand that. That's why I'm saying you really need to go with someone who understands the HUD process because there's all these little things that you have to remember that if you bid $152, the house is only appraised for $150, the extra $2,000 has to come out of your pocket.
Right, because as a lender, we lend based on the lower of the two, the purchase price or the appraisal. Since the appraisal's already been done and it's already at $150,000, that extra $2,000 has to come out of the buyer's pocket because the seller's not going to negotiate it and pay that $2,000 for you.
And also beware, these houses are sold as is, where is. There's no repairs. This is not like you get to negotiate for a new roof or you get to test out the systems. You know, all the electricity has been off, all the utilities have been off. So buyer beware. You're going to get a really good deal, but it might be a surprise.
So speaking of that, let's talk more about the process. Do I get an opportunity to send in an inspector? And if they find all this stuff, then I can back out of my bid?
It depends. If you're an investor and you back out of your bid, you lose your earnest money. So let's say you put $1,000 earnest money and you're an investor, and investors are supposed to be professionals. So if you make that bid, you have to understand that if you back out, you're going to lose your money. Now, an owner-occupant does have the right to go in and do inspections, and they do have an option period per se. They do have to turn on their own utilities. This can be expensive. Again, what do you get? You weigh the value of the opportunity you get in getting a good deal to the risks involved. So, risk versus value. It's not for the weak of heart.
Okay. So also, let's get past the inspection stage. Getting into the home, I think it's okay as far as, let's just talk about I'm buying it for myself.
Okay.
So I'm going to live in it. I'm not an investor. I'm not going to rent it out. I'm looking at the property, and now I'm getting ready to go to closing. Are there any tricks about closing, or are there any things that I need to know about closing as far as getting title, getting a survey, those type of typical things that you get on a normal home?
You do. You know what? The most important thing, work with a lender who understands HUD homes. You do have to get your documents there 7 days in advance for approval. There are tricks to this. So most importantly, I think, for the consumer, work with a HUD certified agent who understands HUD homes and has sold a lot of them, and work with a lender who has done a lot of them, because it's tricky. But if you know the rules to it, it can be one of the best investments you've ever made.
Well, and Alicia, I'd like to let you know that we at Affiliated Bank Mortgage, we do the loans on HUD homes, and we know how to do those well. We understand the rules, and we can make sure that our listeners out there that are getting ready to buy a HUD home, they've got a safe place where we can help you navigate through the process. If you just joined us, you've been listening to Real Talk Texas. We've got a real expert in our studio today with Alicia Trevino. So happy to have her here. And when we come back, we're going to talk more about buying these deals that are on the market with HUD foreclosures. We spent a lot of time on that. When we return, I'd like to talk about REO products on the market and the non-HUD homes. So stay tuned, and she'll share her secrets with you.